Welcome back, sixth graders. Today is week 7, Thursday, May 21st. We're continuing to learn about World War II. Our topic today is the home front, and you have a choice. Now, winning World War II needed soldiers to fight, of course, and we know a lot about that. But it also needed people back in the U.S. to contribute to the war effort. And these folks were in what was called the home front. So in joining a fight, 300,000 Minnesotans served in the military during World War II. Very important part of winning the war. Another important part, though, is the home front. And a great deal was needed from civilians, basically non-military people, who provide equipment, food, and other technology to help soldiers do the fighting. So you're going to get choice today to answer one of questions from one of these topics. You get to choose your topic between war work, manufacturing, agriculture, iron ore and timber, making sacrifices, more ways to pitch in, and an unusual role for people opposed to the war. And these are all connecting to people across our country and Minnesota. First question, war work. All right, so what types of supplies did the U.S. need for civilians to make? And what was it like to work in these places? Here is a picture of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, president, visiting the Twin Cities Ordnance Plant. Here's a woman making bullets. Now here's Maple Grove Middle School over here, about, 10, 15 miles to the east of us is this giant tract of land, which was the Twin Cities Ordnance, where they built they had this manufacturing company to make bombs and bullets, and it's now getting changed back into use for non-military purposes. They're having to clean it up, but this was a really big employer during the war. So you can learn about this between pages 16, 10, and 11. Manufacturing. What kind of equipment or goods were made in Minnesota to help the war effort? Well, one of them is something you may see on your grocery store shelves. Here's another piece of equipment, and there's a number of other ones. So list 4 items Minnesota companies made for the war and what they were used for. Find that on page 1611. Next, agriculture. So describe 4 ways Minnesota increased production of farming during World War II. Now remember, a lot of male farmers were sent off to the war. So what were some solutions? You can find that on page 1612. Iron ore and timber. So how did World War II affect Minnesota's iron ore and timber industries? List at least 4 items these resources were used to build. We've studied a little bit about this earlier in the year. Making sacrifices. So what was rationing? How did it work? And do you agree or disagree with it? These are booklets of ration stamps, and this was something that was used in allowing you to make purchases of various goods, and it helped keep supplies balanced for the war effort in the home front and the battlefront. So you can learn about that on these pages. Should we do it today during our COVID-19 pandemic? If rationing, would that be helpful in any way? Next one, more ways to pitch in. So list 5 ways Americans made sacrifices to help win the war. Which are most useful today? So here you see an advertisement for a victory garden. Here you see some kids chucking some equipment. What do you think that is? And then here's a bumper sticker, ride alone and Hitler likes it. Share your car and give him a jar. Here's a picture of kicking Hitler in the butt. Now this is try to encourage people to preserve their resources. So instead of driving a car all by yourself, save fuel and bring people with you. And they think that is a way to help beat Hitler. An unusual role for people opposed to the war. So let's say you didn't want to fight. You're a conscientious objector. If you refused to fight, how could you help the war effort? Here's a picture of something that conscientious objectors did. So you can read about that on page 616. All right, so here's the list that you can choose from. Choose one of these topics. And again, page 1610 to 1616. Your assignment is right here, week 7, Thursday, May, come on, the little thing here, 21st, World War II home front choices. I just love this little duck. Doesn't it just seem so fitting when it comes to buy war bonds? And I hope you guys have a great day. Here's another great World War II propaganda poster. Do less, do with less, so they'll have enough.